Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shit's Hard. I'm your host, Amber, and we do have a special guest today, Princess, if you're watching on YouTube. She's decided to join us for the session today. Let's hear what she has to say. You know, it doesn't make that like snoofy noise, that like when she puts her nose up to the mic, so I don't really know what's going on with that. But she probably won't stay long. Honestly, she's usually in the room when I record, but she's usually on the bed and she usually doesn't give a fuck. So we'll see how long she stays today. But today we are talking about cooking and food and everything in between in the kitchen. And I'm super excited for this episode because I love to cook. It's one of my passions in life, my favorite hobby. My brother has taught me how to cook since I was pretty young, and I've really just like loved it ever since. I just love trying new shit in the kitchen. And I've also had my fair share of fucking shit up in the kitchen, but that's all part of it. But I love food. I love talking about it. And today's just going to be all about cooking, all about kind of cooking in the aspect of taking care of yourself type of thing. I think it's important to recognize, like, it's a hobby for me. It's not a hobby for everybody else. Not everybody loves to cook the way that I do. However, cooking has to be at least something to you because you have to eat, or at least food has to be something to you. So I think that everyone has to have like at least a general understanding or knowledge of how to cook, like at least something simple. You don't have to have it as your whole life passion, but I'm going to talk about why I think that everyone should know this life skill for a million reasons, for health reasons, for financial reasons, everything under the sun. So I've also been thinking about making some more food content. I really like to cook, and I cook every day. So like the making content wouldn't be hard. Honestly, it's just like the filming and the lighting in my kitchen isn't great. And nowadays when I am cooking, I don't have like a ton of time. So I thought she was going to leave. I don't have like a ton of time. So obviously like filming takes like a whole nother step. But I would like to make more stuff like that. Also, what I find tough about making food content is that like throughout the week, I make like one dish throughout the week a lot because everything at the fucking grocery store is sold for a family of 4. So it's hard to like eat a lot of variety as one person who buys meals and groceries for one person. Because you can't really buy like individual stuff. Or if you can, it's like the most expensive fucking way to buy. Like the cheapest way to buy is in bulk. So we'll get into that. We'll get into variety and how I cook and that kind of thing. So let's get into it. Cooking. Let's talk about how to get started. I think that's so important is like I said, I grew up learning how to cook. My brother loved to cook. Honestly, my family didn't. My mom really was not fond of cooking. She would always say that she's tired from work and she didn't want to be bothered in the kitchen. But my brother loved to cook and I love to cook too. Like I didn't care if whatever we were making took like an hour or 2 in the kitchen because I liked doing it. But also I wasn't like working all day. So I certainly understand that aspect. Back when I was back in Ohio and I was working a full-time job that was 45 minutes away, it took like, I swear to God, like 10 hours, 11 hours out of my day just to like drive to work, get to work, be at work, drive home from work. And so then when I got home, obviously like it was a very limited amount of time where I could work out, make food, eat food, shower. And by then, like, your day's done. So I certainly get how, like, not wanting to cook every fucking day. I understand that. I myself actually do cook almost every single meal that I eat. I usually don't eat a lot of leftovers. I don't like leftovers, and I love cooking, so I don't see it as a waste of time. But every once in a while, I accidentally like, make a portion too big. I usually split it in half and eat it the next day, but I usually don't eat things like 3 or 4 days out from making it. Also, like food spoils, cooked food spoils. It doesn't last that long. I know if you eat it 5 days later, you're like, oh, it tastes fine, but like, I don't do that. Meal prep, the whole like on Sunday, cook 5 things that you're gonna eat. Like by Friday, you're cooking something that's 5 days old. Like, there's no way that's good. I actually spoiled that for myself back when I was working at that firm, and I would prep like my lunches and stuff. And there was this one week where I had prepped, because I only was in the office Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays were online. So I would only prep like 4 days worth of meals, which isn't awful. But I had made those like euros on pita with tzatziki and a lot of like lettuce, like tomato and chicken. And it was really, really good. I did homemade tzatziki too. It was so good. But literally on like the last day on Thursday, it was so just gross because I had made it 4 days ago and it was so like just like I don't know. The tzatziki was like not it. The chicken was dry and the pita was just I don't know. It was not good and it really spoiled that meal for me. I haven't even had that meal again, which it honestly was like on Monday it was so good, but I just haven't had it again because I just couldn't eat it. Like at work that day I didn't really eat lunch because I couldn't stomach it. And that's also why I make a lot of my food fresh. I just like it fresh. I think it tastes better. Some food can reheat pretty well, some food cannot. I hate the microwave. I fucking hate the microwave because I think it reheats everything dog shit, like the absolute fucking worst way. Um, so I actually reheat everything in my air fryer. There's like a warm setting where I can just put it on warm and leave it in there for like 7 to 10 minutes or I could probably turn it up a little bit to like 250 degrees and then it would probably go faster. But it usually like it really like it's like convection versus conviction or whatever to heat it up or I don't even know what the fuck. Conviction. I don't think that's it. I don't know. There's like different fucking ways to heat it up. And whatever the microwave uses, probably microwaves, is just it's like disgusting. It just doesn't heat it up in a way that keeps it warm. I also like I notice when I make tea, if I boil the water on the stove versus I microwave the water, even when I microwave it and it comes out like piping hot and I put my tea bag in, like the tea is cold, like room temperature within like 5 minutes. If I do it on the stove, like that water is like boiled like throughout, like that it stays hot forever, arguably too long. I can't get over you right now that she's sitting up here with me. She never does this. Hi. But so let's talk about how to get started. I feel like I literally said that so many minutes ago and then I got sidetracked. But yeah, so I grew up cooking, so I didn't really have this like getting started issue of like when you're older and you're like, oh fuck, I live on my own. I want to know how to cook. Nobody taught me how to cook. Situation. She's out. Princess is out. She's done with it. She's like, fuck this podcast sucks. Um, um, so when I moved out to San Diego 2 years ago, I was just there for 3 months and I was staying in like a little short-term rental apartment complex situation, which didn't have any dishes. And obviously I'm like in California and I drove my car there. So I'm like, I don't want to buy a bunch of dishes and drag them all the way back to Ohio, worry about shit breaking, glass, all that shit. But I also like, and I also don't want to spend a lot of money on it. And I also had dishes in Ohio. So I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do for 3 months? Like, I'm not going to use paper plates for 3 months. So thrifting is your number one solution to this problem. I can see why you wouldn't want to cook or know how to cook. And then when you go to make a meal, you're like, oh, fuck, I don't have a strainer or a lettuce spinner or even like the right skillet, pot, pan, whatever the fuck, Dutch oven. Almost everything you'll need is at Goodwill. Now, you're not going to have a nice, beautiful matching set. Okay, but that comes later in life. Okay, that comes later. If you're on a budget and you need some good quality cooking supplies, you can find it at Goodwill. I got one of my blue diamond skillets from Goodwill. I actually looked it up on Target. You can get it brand new for $15. That's actually not bad for something that you're going to reuse over and over again. But I actually got mine at Goodwill for like $4.99. So, I mean, like if you're really on a budget, you can usually make it work. They have silverware there. Again, they might not match. We might not be having the most beautiful kitchen set, but also you never know. You might find some hidden gems at Goodwill with some really cool kitchen pieces that nobody else is going to have either. So, or I was going to say on top of thrifting, I've never actually done this, but Corbin's mom swears by estate sales. Apparently you can get some really nice quality stuff there. It's kind of like a garage sale, but it's after somebody had passed. So, but you can get some really good quality stuff there for a much better price. Again, it's used, but it's silverware, it's plating. You know what I mean? Like I understand like people who are like, it's kind of gross, but like if you've ever eaten at a restaurant, then Goodwill stuff is not that gross because 1 million fucking people have eaten off that restaurant plate. And you'll just take it home and you'll sanitize it and you'll put it in the dishwasher and it'll be good as new. But that was what I did in San Diego. I went over to Goodwill. I actually walked from where I was living. I was downtown in San Diego and I walked over to the Goodwill and I just bought like the cheapest set of like plates that they had. And I bought the ceramic ones, but they were like, it was like $10 or $12 for the big plates and the small plates together. And then you could get a few cups. So I'm sure I just bought like 4 or 6 cups for like $1 each. Now, I will say, like, these prices that I'm saying are comparable to IKEA, honestly. I was honestly a little bit disappointed when I got to Goodwill in California. It's much different than Goodwill in Ohio. Um, the Goodwill here is like nicer, cleaner, more cleaned up, which is a good thing. However, it's a little more expensive. There were some ceramic like plate sets there where I was like, okay, well, this is a used ceramic plate set. Although it is cute, I could get the same price set at Walmart, and then I know that nobody's used it before. So like, I was a little disappointed in that sense. But they did have a lot more options. At Goodwill in Ohio, or probably just smaller areas, it's a lot more like random ass shit. Definitely not as cleaned up. Definitely might not even have a full set of plates. But with that, it'll probably be cheaper. Things will be a lot cheaper. Like at Salvation Army in the city that I'm from, like you could get plenty of like you could leave that place with literally like spending $20 and having like literally 20 items. Like, okay, sorry. My battery died again, and it said it was full at the beginning of this, so that's kind of annoying. But whatever. Anyways, you can usually get cheap shit. I know, like, part of cooking is like just having the shit, you know what I mean? And like, especially I grew up cooking in my parents' house, and that's where I learned to cook, which was so nice and easy because, you know, they're 40 years old back then. They had a whole kitchen full of shit. Any of the supplies that I needed. But once I moved out and got to college and had my own apartment and started cooking again, I didn't have everything. I didn't have all these stupid little niche, like I didn't have a potato peeler, you know, and you don't realize you need one until you like, you know, you're trying to make a recipe and you're like, oh fuck. Or a lettuce spinner, or just like the random ass shit that, like, you don't use all the time, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other shit. Or just like certain pots and pans, or like, you know, you want the big pot when you're making a whole meal for people, but then when you're just cooking for yourself, you're like, well, fuck, I don't want to get out this huge ass pot that takes up so much room in the dishwasher. Like, I just want the small one. So yeah, I would highly recommend thrift stores, Goodwill, or honestly IKEA if that's your style as well. But yeah, it depends on where you're at, because I think if you're in a small town, you go thrifting, like you can really pay like really fucking cheap, like less than $1 for like a cup. And honestly, I've thought about when we go to our next place, I just have IKEA cups right now because I thought they were cute and they were cheap. And I don't know, the way that we are, we've actually already broken like 3 of them for whatever fucking reason. So I was glad that I got cheap ones that I also could replace if we whatever broke however many. I could just go back and get another 4-pack or whatever. But at Goodwill, I have found a lot of really cute, like niche, different glass cups, like water cups. And they have like, at least the Goodwills that I've been at, they have like 8 or 10 of them, or at least 6, like at least a little group of them. And I think that's so cute, and I love that. Like when I am starting to build my own house and apartment and like pack my own kitchen, I want to have different niche cool things that aren't like super Pinteresty or like everybody has them type of stuff. And I think thrifting in Goodwill is a great place for that. It's great for the environment. We're doing secondhand use. It's great for your wallet. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, and it's different and it's fun, and it's a good way to build your own kind of style. And I like that. I like that a lot. So absolutely start at Goodwill when you're looking for shit. But other than that, I think that cooking truly is, it's a skill. It's something that everyone should know, at least general knowledge, because everybody has to eat, and just the burden that food will put on your pocket. It's so like noticeable, but not noticeable, if that makes sense. Like if you're going out once a day, let's just say, I mean, we're in California, so I was gonna say $13. I feel like that's not even accurate. We'll say 15. We'll say $15 per meal. $15 times 7. Like shit's starting to add up. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna look it up. Is this something that I should know off my head? Because I don't. So that's $105. Me being someone who I probably eat out like once a week. Just for like friends, socialization type of stuff. But other than that, my grocery bill isn't even $105. And and I buy groceries for myself. And that 105 was just eating out once a day, 7 times a week. So if you were doing that, for 2 meals a day, that would be, what? $214, a week. So that's quite a bit. That's quite a lot of money. And that's, again, only twice a day. So if you were eating out, let's say 3 times a day, then it goes up to like $321 a week. That's if you were eating out like every single meal 7 days a week. And that's quite a lot because I spend roughly, my goal when I go to the grocery store here is $75. It was $50 when I was in Ohio, but things are pricier here. And usually I can stay under that. If I go to Aldi, I can usually stay under that. And that's enough food for a full week. Now, granted, again, on top of that, I do usually go out at least one day, just like with my friends or roommates or whatever, to eat dinner or lunch or whatever the fuck. But like, if you really do the math on how much, like if you're eating out a couple times a week, like it's pretty pricey. It's pretty expensive. And I think it's also important to recognize like bang for your buck, what kind of quality are you paying for? I think if you're usually eating at honestly any restaurant, I think, you're just not getting the quality for the price that you're paying for it. The quality isn't there. Maybe some restaurants, but that would probably be much, much more than $15 a meal, And I think what you could get for that at home for much less money and much higher quality, it's so worth it just for a financial reason, to teach yourself how to cook and at least make something simple, at least make something generic. And I'm not at all saying don't ever eat out. I think, of course, you should splurge and spoil yourself. That's usually why I set aside a little bit in my budget for restaurants and socialization, because socialization is important. Having friends and hanging out is important. And honestly, I really love it. I love going to restaurants. I love sitting down. I love the atmosphere. It's been really nice in California. It's been a little bit sunny these last 2 days. And I'm like dying. Like, it makes me salivate thinking about sitting outside and having brunch. I love sitting outside. Sitting outside at a restaurant is that's my happy place. I just want to sit outside at a restaurant. I want to get a mimosa. I want to get some wine. I want to have brunch. Like, that's my cup of tea. That's what I want to do. But I shouldn't be doing that every day. I can't do that every day. I can't afford to do that every day, and I don't have the time to do it every day. So I try to just kind of like compartmentalize like where my money's going, where's my food going, like kind of when I'm eating and when I'm spending money on food and when I'm kind of cutting costs. Because it's so totally doable. Like, you can so spend money on socialization and money and friends, just not all the time. But yeah, I think if you're eating out all the time during the week, it's important to just take a look, just calculate, just look at 1 week and actually go on your bank statement, your credit card statement, and just take a look and calculate up like how much you're spending. Because I think you could be saving a lot just by like shopping in a grocery store. And even if you aren't cooking, even just frozen meals too are going to be probably a lot cheaper than eating out. But I think the tools that you have at your disposal are also they're right there. So if you do want to cook, you want to save a little bit of money on your grocery bill, on your food bill, and you're like, I just don't know how. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that's my holy grail. That's my go-to. I'm food talk all the way. I be scrolling, like literally before I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh fuck, what am I gonna eat this week? And I'm like, well, I had that last week, I'm a variety girl. Like, I am not eating the same shit every day. My boyfriend does that. He'll make like a fucking tub of lasagna and he'll just munch all week. I can't do that. But I'd be on TikTok. I'd be like dinner ideas, lunch ideas, chicken recipes, Alfredo, like, or if I think of, I want to make this, but I don't know how, right there, just look it up on TikTok. It's all there. It's all there. And the best part is, because obviously I'm picky with my recipes too. I'm like, no, that's gross. No, I don't like mushrooms in it, whatever. Just keep scrolling. You'll find the one you want. So use the tools at your disposal. Corbin actually was on YouTube for a minute, like finding how to make like homemade pizza dough. So much cheaper than buying shit at the store. Probably so much better for you too. I think you'd be surprised how much like sodium and other random preservatives are in that kind of stuff to make it last longer, to make it able to, get from wherever it's going to the grocery store to your house and then last for however long at your house. Really, like, you could save so much money and it's so much better, so much fresher, and it's going to taste so much better too. But even myself, I love crumble cookie. I'm obsessed. I'm a dessert gal all the way. And crumble cookie's a little pricey. It's a little pricey. And so I actually was finding TikTok crumble cookie recipes, copycat recipes on there. And I made like some kind of snickerdoodle cupcake. And it was so good. Like it was so good, and it was definitely way cheaper. I mean, it made like 6 cookies because crumble cookies are fucking gigantic. But it made 6, and it definitely cost me less than $25, which is what 6 is at Crumble. So just for financial reasons in general is why I would recommend just trying to at least teach yourself a few recipes. But also, and something I could understand as reasons why you wouldn't be cooking at home is the freshness. It's hard to figure out how to keep something fresh, especially when you're trying to do variety. Like I know how to keep carrots, good for a week or 2 in the fridge. And that's from TikTok, okay? Using my resources. But I don't know how to keep asparagus good, and that says it's only good for 4 days in the fridge. And so now I'm like, oh fuck, now I want to try something new. Now I got to figure this out. And I just got on TikTok again, and it just was like, fill a jar with water, stick the asparagus in it, cover it lightly with plastic, whatever. And that's been working for me. But frozen's a good option too. There's nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. Usually they're literally just the plain vegetable in the frozen bag in the freezer. There's not a lot of shit added to it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing the frozen food and vegetables. I never do frozen. I don't know, it just never occurred to me. But as of lately, I've really been struggling with my vegetables and eating them all before they go bad. And because usually I can get through like half of them, but as I said, everything in the fucking grocery store is for a family of 4. And so I actually bought frozen broccoli last week, and I never even got to this week. So I'm like, thank God I didn't buy the fucking fresh, because now it's still in the freezer. It's so good. So I can use that next week if I want. But yeah, nothing wrong with frozen. Absolutely go that route. If you are like, fuck, I can't keep these regular groceries good. Or always get on social media. Always get on YouTube. Find your favorite food creators and just fucking learn that way, or just search up. I'd be like, how do I keep this fucking vegetable good? And I'm always trying to switch it up. I usually take apples to work for like my work snack, because they're like easy and I don't need to like cut them up or anything. But I was like, I'm kind of fucking tired of apples. And so now I'm like, all right, I'm going to pears. So I bought these pears. They're all hard as a fucking rock. I'm like, shit, now I got to look up, how do I like get these to ripen? And then after I get them to ripe, how long will they stay, good before they get all squishy? But yeah, it's all on social media, which is a wonderful part of today. A wonderful part of social media is it's all online. So whatever you don't know, you can learn it online. You can save some money. You can eat a lot better. Honestly, why I really stopped eating at, well, not really stopped. I just never resorted to eating at restaurants all the time. Money, for one. For two, my stomach hurts a lot if I eat out too much. Like there's a lot of processed shit in restaurant food. And just preservatives and just random ass sodium, a lot more oil and butter. I just don't even know. There's a few places like Five Guys where I mean I can eat there once, but if I ate 3 days in a row, ate out, my stomach would be torn apart. I would feel like shit. I would not be going anywhere or doing anything. It's just, I don't know. There's just so much extra shit in it. And I actually saw this the other day, this girl who made a TikTok of, she's a chef. And so she was making her own marinara sauce or spaghetti sauce or whatever. And she was comparing how much just sodium is in a store-bought can. And she just she weighed it out by the grams it said on the back of the nutrition label. And she was like, this is how much sodium salt is in the store-bought marinara versus the one that she had made at home. And it was insanely less, to the point where you're like, how does this one from the grocery store not taste like shit? How does it not taste salty? Which I don't fucking know the answer to. But truly, making it at home is just always fucking better. It tastes better. It's better for you. And truly, you won't feel like shit. I feel so just groggy and bogged down when I eat a lot of fast food. And even even nicer restaurants, they're popping out fucking how many steaks, 100 steaks a day. You know what I mean? So they have to be adding shit to preserve, just to make sure it stays fresh and good and not spoil before they serve it. So Yeah, I always try to one of my favorite things to do cooking wise, and when I want to go out, but I'm like, I mean, usually the number one thing that stops me from going out is money. But on top of that is like, if it's too greasy, I'll feel like shit. But one of my favorite things to do is if I'm craving like a restaurant meal, is try to make it at home. One, because it's super fun and I love cooking. But for two, much cheaper, much cheaper. For three, better for you. Probably not gonna hurt my belly as much. So